seen these crowds now for several hours, but the joy is not diminished, neither for them nor for all of us watching around the world. I'm joined by Professor Fawad Ajami, whose knowledge and love of Egypt and knowledge of history and understanding of history has shepherded our coverage through some of the most darkest hours of the last 18 days. Professor, last night you said on my program, you said the angels of the Arab world and the demons of the Arab world are locked in battle. It seems at this hour that the angels have won.
The angels have won, Anderson, and I think we have to, perhaps since you've become what I call Ibn Balad, the son of the land, since you've really dipped into the Nile and came back and really became hooked on the story, we should say Mabruk to you as well. Congratulations to us all. In a way, just we've been on the side of the story. It just occurred to me watching this that this is the kind of story you can watch on mute. You don't need analysts' words. You just need to listen to the Egyptians and watch the Egyptians. This man, Hosni Mubarak, dared them. He defied them. He finally really dared them. And then they answered his challenge, and they have prevailed. It's an amazing moment for them, and an amazing moment for the Arab world, because let's remember, many, many Arabs had begun to question whether freedom was in the DNA of the Arabs. Well, the news is out. Freedom is in the DNA of the Arabs.
I should point out, Fawad Ajami is professor at Johns Hopkins School of Advanced International Studies. He's also at the Hoover Institution. Mubarak and I think his vice president were two men who came to believe, it seems to me, that they were Egypt. And it seems to me the message of these protesters all along from day one, and the message especially of the millions that we are seeing now, is that they are not Egypt, we are Egypt. These people are Egypt. Yes. This is Egypt. This is the future of Egypt. And this is what Egypt needs to be.
Well, Anderson, the truth of this country, in a way, the truth of Egypt is that there's a fault line. There are people who have a memory of democratic politics. They remember when Egypt had a parliament. They remember when Egypt had actually prime ministers who stepped aside, and there was a circulation of power and an alternation of power. These people they have a memory of Egypt before the free officer regime of 1952. And then there are these Egyptians who came into their own, or who were born under the autocrats, the three autocrats, Nasser, Sadat, and Mubarak. And then there were those who were born under the third of these autocrats, the worst of them. The argument could be made that perhaps Hosni Mubarak is one of the worst rulers Egypt has had in a very long time. So yes, I think the people wanted to retrieve their country from him, from his dynasty, and from the people around him, and from his cronies.
There was a moment, I never said this at the time, but there was a moment when I came to believe that these protesters were going to win. I wasn't sure, but yes. I came to believe it. The night that they were attacked by thousands of pro-Mubarak thugs and mobs, and they took corrugated steel barricades, corrugated steel sheets from a nearby construction site, formed barricades, and all night long they manned the barricades. And in between charges from their attackers, they would bang metal pipes and sticks and rocks on those barricades. And it made this haunting sound like a drum beat. And it's a beat that's been used by warriors throughout the ages. But to me, it was a message to the attackers, one that I heard all night long. And that message was, we are still strong, we are still brave, and you cannot defeat us. Was there a moment that you felt these guys are going to win?
Well, I don't know. To quote a friend and a great reporter, fear has been defeated. Fear was defeated. And in fact, it was always this roller coaster of a ride. It was always just a kind of a guess. Will the regime crack down? Will the people lose their heart? Will they be scared again? And I must admit, I decided early on, and I think you bear witness to this, that I wouldn't run ahead of the story. We would just see it on day to day. And we held our hearts, if you will, to use an Arabic metaphor, in our hands as we watched these people stand up to the state that had terrified them, bullied them, exploited them, scared them, took away from them their self-respect. And then they regained their self-respect, and they regained their spirit, and they were reminded of the love of Egypt, that this is their country, and if they have to rescue it, they have to go out and do it on their own. They couldn't wait for anyone. No one was coming to the rescue of the Egyptians. No one was coming to tell Mubarak that it's time to call off this despotism. So they did it the way it should be done. They did it on their own.
And now, do you still fear looking too far ahead to this, or do you have confidence that the military is in place, that the next few steps are clearer, or is it not clear?
Well, you know, when we spoke last night, it seems like just an eternity, many months away. I told you I don't like military communiques, number one. They remind me of all the wreck that befell the Arabs, the soldiers on their tanks coming and conquering power, breaking down ancient and proud societies, whether in Iraq or Syria or Egypt or Libya. So I don't like the military in politics, but we have to take the world as it comes. And if the military is the transitional force that will take the Egyptians from this sordid autocracy, the sordid autocracy of Mubarak, the House of Mubarak, to a democratic possibility, fine, so be it. I'm encouraged by one thing. I'm encouraged by this, that the military have watched this spectacle, and they have seen the courage of the Egyptians, the rebelliousness of the Egyptians, the patriotism of the Egyptians, and that the military will simply, when the time comes, will step out of the way. They know the dilemmas of Egypt. They're huge, titanic economic, cultural, political dilemmas. And I don't think the military is eager to claim the power for itself.
I found it telling, and I may have been wrong of who exactly they were talking to, but when we did hear from the head of the military spokesman a short time ago, he said he was saluting not just Mubarak, but also the martyrs. And I assume he was talking about the martyrs that the Egyptians, which is what Egyptians are calling the people who have died in the last 18 days, the people whose pictures right now are being carried in that square. The fact that the head of the military would talk about those who had been killed in this, that was something we never heard from Mubarak and from Suleiman.
Exactly. Mubarak at the end made a kind of, he barely made a mention of the people who fell in this democratic struggle. But you're exactly right. When the head of the armed forces or a military commander, one of the generals, when he speaks of the people who perish in this noble struggle as martyrs, it tells us that the military read this protest. They understand the depth of this protest, and that they have respect for the kind of spectacle that we have been watching in the last 18 or 19 days.
And that saying, fear has been defeated, there's no turning back, it's something I heard repeatedly protesters saying in one form or another in that square. And it started off, I think, 18 days ago as a hope. It became a belief and a conviction. And I think tonight it is a fact. Fear has been defeated and there is no turning back. Let's toss to Wolf now in Washington. Wolf.
Anderson, thanks, and thanks to Fuad as well. I just want to repeat what that military officer said on Egyptian television. He said, the higher military council is expressing all its appreciation for the life of the martyrs, those who have sacrificed their lives for the freedom and security of their nations and for all the people of our nation, and God be in their help. Peace be upon you. Let's go to Arwa Damon. She's on the streets of Cairo right now where the partying, the celebration continues.
Hi, Wolf. The celebrations here most certainly do continue. As I'm speaking to you, there are fireworks erupting on top of Tahrir Square. The people here forgetting about the fact that they're exhausted, that they've been keeping this up for more than 2 weeks now, just relishing in the fact that truly they are making history not just in Egypt, but around the entire region. This is Dina joining me right now. Dina, what are your thoughts?
I am very happy now, and all the people of Egypt are very happy because Mubarak is going out, and all the people need to change his life to be better. That's all. We need a freedom. We need the chance to everyone.
Great, thank you, Dina. And sir, come forward, please. Sorry, and your thoughts today, right now?
Yes, I think that we have changed the history of not only the Arab region, but all over the world. You know, many forces will be changed, and even the Egyptian people itself, it will change. Now the young men will contribute strongly in the political life in Egypt, and we will rebuild Egypt. I repeat, we will rebuild Egypt.
What is the most important thing for Egypt moving forward after today?
Okay, from now on, we will concentrate in, building, first of all, a political life. So we can build, based on the political life, we can build a strong economy, and we make all the dreams of the young people come true.
And do you have faith that the military will be able to lead this interim government?
Yes, I think our military is very intelligent to know that this is not a revolution of the military, it's a revolution of the people. So I don't think they will stay for a long time into the regime.
And did you ever imagine that this would be happening in Egypt?
Never. 1 month ago, I would never imagine. And for me, I'm a young man, and I always believe that my generation will never make any history of Egypt. Okay.
Thank you very much. And there you have it. You can see the crowd here still very, very active, very much out there relishing this moment, but of course realizing that the future is still going to be a challenge. This country does need to be rebuilt, but everyone believing that it's going to be rebuilt in a better path, in a better way.
Arwa, I love hearing from the folks there with you, some of the people. If you've got some more opportunity, go ahead and let's get some more reaction from these Egyptians who are so happy right now. Go ahead.
Absolutely. So tell me, you're a student.
Yes.
What is your reaction today? How are you feeling?
Now I'm feeling the freedom is now born. Now, and all these people came here to speak and say his feeling now, and I want to say thank to the tourists now. Come back to Egypt. Now Egypt is very safe now.
Come back to Egypt. We've been hearing that a lot. People want tourism back. They want business back. Ma'am, what do you have to say? How are you feeling?
I can't describe my feeling. I'm very happy, and I think the greatest victory in Egypt. We lived a hard life filled with oppression and no freedom, but I'm very happy along with Egypt. Thank you.
And what is your emotions right now on this night, and what are your worries for the future? What direction does the country need to go in?
I think it will be a very good future, and the country will be a developed country, and there will be good education and good health. Everything in Egypt, inshallah, will be very, very good, and all people also will be, inshallah, will be lovely, and I can't describe my feeling. I'm very happy. I'm very happy, and I can't tell you about my feeling. I'm very happy. Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah. Thanks God.
Thank you very much.
وارفع راسك فوق انت مصري.
That chant that's erupting, if you can actually hear me, means keep your head held high. You are Egyptian. And now we have this together.
Egypt. ارفع راسك فوق انت مصري. ارفع راسك فوق انت مصري.
Hold your head up high, you're Egyptian. That's what they're chanting all around.
Egypt.
Hala, if you can hear me, it's Wolf.
Hold your head higher.
Hala, you can speak to some of these people in Arabic. If they don't speak English, speak to them in Arabic and translate for our viewers. That's fine too.
سعيد جدا ان انا
حققت حلم الشباب. He's saying he's very happy because they made the dream of the youth
so eager to come to the camera live to share their joy with the world. He's saying the people are very proud
كلامنا خرج بره البلد ونفذنا كل اللي احنا عايزينه واسقطنا الحكومه كلها وان شاء الله باذن الله ان شاء الله باذن الله تظهر حكومه بجد تحمي البلد دي بدماغنا احنا باذن الله هنرفع بلدنا فوق الكل باذن الله. بلدنا دي هتفضل عظيمه طول عمرها. مصر تحيا مصر باذن الله باذن الله هتفضل مصر عاليه وفوق كل ام الدنيا. السلام عليكم. السلام عليكم ورحمه الله وبركاته. انا احيي شباب مصر الشباب الحر. احيي الشباب الحر اللي حرر شباب مصر وحرر شعب مصر كله.
The youth that freed themselves and that freed all of Egypt.
ولولا شباب مصر ما كانتش اتغيرت مصر وبقت حرة.
Were it not for the youth of Egypt, Egypt would not have been able to change.
النهارده أنا فخور بشباب مصر لأن هم مننا ومن دمنا. هم اللي حررونا.
The youth who freed them are from their own blood.
النهارده اتولد مولد جديد هو الحرية. حرية شباب مصر وشعب مصر.
That is freedom and it is freedom for the youth.
وعاشت مصر حرة أبية.
Arwa, we're just going to leave it there for a minute. We're hearing about freedom. We're hearing about pride, about the people of Egypt being proud, about with the will of God, inshallah, as they say, it will lead to a new country, a new leadership. It will lead to democracy. Fareed Zakaria is standing by there. I mean, as we look forward to what might unfold in this country, in this crucial and essential country in the Arab world, what are the chances that the military, this institution in Egypt, will lead the country to democracy?
I think right now you have to be hopeful because the power that this Tahrir Square has shown, the power that the Egyptian people have shown is so dramatic, is so strong, that I think it would be very difficult for a general to be sitting there watching this and think about subverting it, think about blocking it, think about obstacles to it. And you just look at these people. For 18 days, they have been able to do this. They have brought this extraordinary people power, you know, an irresistible force had hit the immovable object of Hosni Mubarak and destroyed him. In that context, it seems to me very difficult to imagine the military trying to subvert things. There will be international pressure, there will be the pressure of the international media, but most importantly, there will be those people that you are watching, these crowds, these hundreds of thousands of Egyptians who have finally reclaimed their country. And I think it will be very hard for the military at this point to try to do something that subverts it. It's a long story and it may go in many different ways, but right now you have to be hopeful just looking at the energy of this crowd and the power of this crowd. You know, we talked about people power when Ferdinand Marcos was toppled in the Philippines. There was nothing compared to this. This is one of the oldest, most entrenched autocratic systems in the world. This is the Pharaoh's government, and it has just been overturned.
And when we look at this opposition and these pro-democracy activists, something that's been said very often over the last few weeks is that they don't really have organized opposition political parties. How do you turn this people power into a pluralistic democracy by September?
By September, it will be hard. There are some groups, but you're right. Most of the organized opposition movements, other than the Muslim Brotherhood, which is banned, most of the legal ones are phony, quite frankly, or are very, very fragile. Many of them were created as almost official opposition parties, renter opposition to run against Mubarak's main party. But I think you might be surprised at how much democratic energy there is in Egypt. This is a society with a very rich set of civic institutions, lawyers, guilds, trade unions, things like that. And perhaps they can be revived. I think it would be better if there were more time to do this. But, you know, there's also an energy here that you do want to tap. Right now, I think what people are doing is just drinking in the energy of being in this place. I think everyone who is at Tahrir Square will tell their children that they were at Tahrir Square on this day. That's the energy of this crowd right now.
I think many of us will remember where we were on this day. It's such an important historic event. Fareed Zakaria, the host of Fareed Zakaria GPS. Thanks very much. We're going to take a quick break here on CNN. We'll continue to follow the Egyptian revolution and its aftermath and the joy on the streets of Cairo after this.
Okay, come to me, Atlanta.